Don't build it, go test it out with a group of people. If it's a B2C product, go test it out with a group of people. If it's a B2B product, go talk to the companies you are planning to target, and interview 100 people, 100 companies. Actually, the same applies to when you are a B2C business as well. Interview 100 people, talking and spending time talking to people and capturing the pain points of your target audience is the key. It is painful. It'll take time. It actually took us 2 months to finish our very first user interview, 2 months full-time work, but it's worth it. My name is Roya Kachooei, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Volatify.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries who share in the critical moments of what it takes to change an industry and build and lead a team that has your back. I'm your host, Noah Lappart, and today how Roya Kachooei created a wonderful way to reach your purchasing goals by developing stellar savings and spending habits. All this and more on Code Story. Roya Kachooei came to Canada 9 years ago with the aim to pursue her master's in the U.S. When her funding fell through, she stayed in Canada and started working. When she was younger, her mother used to speak to her about making a difference in the world around her, and as such, she's always dreamed about being an entrepreneur. In 2017, Roya wanted to start saving for a house down payment. She discovered that it was really difficult to save up the money and started looking into apps that would help her. When the only thing she could find to really help was Excel, she decided to step out and to do something about it. This is the creation story of Volatify.
So basically, Volatify is a save now, buy later application for Canadians and Americans. It's best suited for millennials and Gen Z. And our target and our mission and our vision is to help North Americans have an alternative option when it comes to basically purchasing a pricey item. We believe that, sure, a lot of people could use credit cards to do those purchases. However, there should always be an alternative option for those who want to make sure that they can save up ahead of time and, have the money in hands when they go shopping. To that end, Volatify is an automated software that leverages machine learning to predict people's future expenses and also automates detecting their essential expenses to help them develop a strong insight into how they're spending their money and where their money goes, to help them make room for goals around things they want to have in life. Because life is more than just covering for your needs. It's a big part of it is to indulge yourself with your wants. And we want to empower people to do that without going through the pain of feeling they don't have enough money to shop for their wants.
Let's dive into the MVP, so that first product you built. How long did it take to build, and what sort of tools did you use to bring it to life?
So when we started Volatify, it was just me and my co-founder, Razman. It was just the two of us. It was barely an idea. We got together with a friend and we started talking about, the personal financial life of a North American could look like, how it could improve. And we all started talking about our pains, what we've gone through and why we had complaints about, the existing services and features and functionalities and apps out there back then. And we've realized that, by the way, we all come from tech background. I should probably have mentioned that when I introduced myself. We would get together actually at a coffee shop talking about what the future of personal finance could look like, what could simplify our lives, help us spend less time with our finances and be less stressed about how to make sure that we can carry on with our lives without accumulating debt. In those discussions, we've talked about so many things, from automating some of the processes to tracking some of historical payments to help ourselves and people like us develop some insights and understanding around seasonalities that would impact our budgets. And what it would take to actually develop a convenient life when it comes to finances in North America, a stable, convenient life. And that was when we started actually filling out an application for one of the like incubator programs here in Canada, which helped us form out our thoughts into a more structured business plan, basically. And that was actually the beginning of us, thinking about what the MVP of such product could look like. We actually, I remember, we first put together a pitch deck and talked to a couple of incubators and also potential investors. But we soon realized that we were pretty early to talk to investors, especially because we were first-time founders. We were coming from tech backgrounds. We actually were not typical founders who usually come from business schools or financial schools in this specific industry, where you have a very good understanding of the investment industry and the business and what it takes to run a business and whatnot, at least theoretically. So for us, it was we were two software engineers and one data scientists. And we were oh, this is a great idea. We can build this product. And the first thing we did, after realizing that just pitching a high-level idea is not going to get us anywhere, was that we stuck with building a simple mobile application. Which eventually we realized that was our mistake, because we've learned it very the hard way, that you probably don't want to build your product. You probably want to test out your idea in the market before building it by doing it probably manually for some people first. But anyways, back then we started building it. But because we were a very small team, it went very slow. We were just a team of 3, and then eventually we actually sized down to 2 people because our data scientist friend decided to take up on another opportunity and, continue being an employee for another company. But then right around the time that, we were okay, we've done our market research. We have understood that we have to start building something, and we've gathered enough information as to around where to start and what to start with. The pandemic hit. It actually worked us in our favor in the sense that we got to save time on, commuting to our works, because we were still working back then for other companies. And, we spent more time at home. It was lockdown. Everybody was at home. We had nothing else to do. So we actually very quickly developed this skill set of working at 2 full-time jobs. One being our 9-to-5 job, where we make money and we are able to kind of self-fund our startup idea. And then the other job, full-time job, being our startup.
This episode is sponsored by Vanta. You're a startup founder. Finding product market fit is probably your number one priority. But to land bigger customers, you also need security compliance. And obtaining your SOC 2 or ISO 27001 certification can open those big doors. But they take time and energy, pulling you away from building and shipping. And that's where Vanta comes in. Vanta is the all-in-one compliance solution helping startups like yours get audit ready and build a strong security foundation quickly and painlessly. How, you ask? Vanta automates the manual security tasks that slow you down, helping you streamline your audit. And the platform connects you with trusted VCSOs to build your program, auditors to get you through audits quickly, and a marketplace for essentials like pen testing. Join over 8,000 companies, including many Y Combinator and Techstars startups who trust Vanta. Simplify compliance and get $1,000 off at vanta.com/codestory. That's VANTA.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Kinsta. Between juggling client meetings, managing your website, and keeping up with everyday tasks, who has the time to stress out about website security? Well, with Kinsta, the technical stuff is taken care of, so you can focus on what you do best. Kinsta provides managed hosting for WordPress, offering lightning-fast load times, top-tier security, and unmatched human-only customer support. Whether you're a business owner, web developer, or running a digital agency, Kinsta makes managing your website easy and efficient. Kinsta provides enterprise-grade security, being one of the few hosting providers for WordPress with SOC 2 and other certifications, guaranteeing the highest level of security for your website. Thanks to their unlimited free expert-led migrations, Kinsta ensures a smooth transition for you from other hosting providers. Customers have reported 200% faster load times post-migration to their platform. What I find cool about Kinsta is their fast and reliable customer service and premium features that are included at no extra cost. Ready to experience Kinsta's hosting for yourself? Get your first month free when you sign up at kinsta.com today. That's KINSTA.com. So you've got your MVP, you launched it, it's working, you've got a small team that's running. How have you progressed the product from that point? How have you matured it? And I'm curious about how you go about building your roadmap. How do you decide, okay, this is the next most important thing to build or to address with Walletify?
Soon after we released the very first version of the app in 2021, we became actually a member of an incubator program around the same time here in Toronto, which helped us a lot in understanding how to, where to go from there. We had, different resources who came from different industries and different areas of a business who helped us understand what's the most important thing. They've helped us define our OKRs, define our KPIs, and we developed a very good understanding around customer feedback. And we've started incorporating that in our, basically everything, designing the next feature, improving the existing features, creating our strategic plans for the next quarters. The biggest component and the biggest key player in making sure that we are moving to the right direction, defining the right OKRs and using and measuring the right KPIs and staying away from the vanity KPIs and whatnot has been the customer feedback, the user feedback that we've received, which has been tremendous and invaluable.
Let's switch to team. So how do you go about building your team? And I heard you talking about your co-founder and your interns in early days. And then I'd be curious about now too. What do you look for in those people to indicate that they are the winning horses to join you?
Because we were first-time founders, it was one of the hardest things for us to do was to build the teams that we were not experts in, like marketing team, like financial team. For us, taking care of the product is our strength. It's very easy for us to interview technical people, and because this is something we used to do in our other jobs. And we've never had a problem with it. However, coming to marketing, especially because our product is a B2C product, the marketing plays a very important role in growing the business. I remember back in the day, it was really tough for me to know what to ask and spent a lot of time reading articles about how to interview a marketing person and what you should look for and whatnot. And I reached out to a friend to help me with the very first interview that I had with my first marketer. But, as a CEO, you have to learn about every single department within your company. You have to become a small version of an employee within each department and each team to be able to develop a good understanding that would help you grow your business. So I eventually started becoming a marketer and then a CFO to be able to actually make sure that everything is in order and to be able to hire the right people and make sure that I make the transition and onboarding for them smooth. In terms of the team and expanding the team, right now we are 8 people, including 1 intern, who are working within the team and growing the business in different directions. When it comes to interviewing, we take it very seriously to make sure that we build a very good culture within the company. It is very important for us to create a very friendly environment where everybody feels like they're part of a team, a part of a family. I was lucky enough to work for wonderful companies here in Canada and learn about the value of having a mature culture in a company and how it can actually make your team a high-performing team. And I valued that from the day one within, in Walletify. And my co-founder, the same, he has gone through different experiences and learned this lesson in maybe slightly different way, but we both championed for building key values within the company and making sure that all team members are aware of those values and we making sure that we are good examples of those values. The biggest win for us has been that our team, every single team member knows that they're not alone, which is a very common case in a small team because you don't have so many people within the area of your work to turn into. They're not alone. They still can turn around, ask somebody who might not even know what they're talking about for rubber docking, or just ask them for help or getting them help. And I think that has been the biggest value within Walletify.
So let's flip the scalability then. So did you build this to scale efficiently from day one, or have you been fighting this as you grow in any capacity?
Oh, of course, I have been fighting it and learning because the process of hiring somebody when you are an employee in a larger scale company is not a responsibility that falls on one person's lap. It's a responsibility that is divided, that's just kind of broken down between a few different roles within the company. But when it comes to a very small team, suddenly all of that responsibility falls on your lap, especially because you are the CEO and you are actually giving it the big initial push. So for me, there has been a lot of lesson learns, as to how to interview people, what kind of questions to ask to make sure that, we are hiring the person who is culturally and from the skill set point of view aligned with what we're looking for. And also to make sure that we are also, talking about and advertising what our team is, what we are, what our vision is, what our mission is, what kind of an environment an employee will step into if they decide to join Volatify.
So as you step out on the balcony, you look across all that you've built, what are you most proud of?
I'll break that down into two major, areas. One being the product itself. We are big believers that what we're building is actually the right idea. This is the right time for people, especially now with the inflation, with post-COVID life and everything, everybody finding themselves in a harder financial situation than ever. We believe that what we're building is what's going to help a lot of people have that peace of mind that, they can carry on with their lives without accumulating debt. And having a solution in hand and an app in hand that helps them continue having plans, enjoying the fact that they can buy the things they want without having the stress and the concern that they're going to accumulate debt, or they have to kind of pay some interests in order to get what they want or what they wish to have. The second thing is definitely my team. I think I very much value the team that we've built. Me, my co-founder, and my whole team have built together. Everybody has played their role in making sure that our team is very friendly, very fun to be in, I guess, and very performant. I think I'm so lucky to be surrounded by these people every day.
Okay, let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
I have so many examples for you. I think as a first-time founder, you make just so many mistakes. Some of them are not really mistakes. They are just the way you prefer to do things. And what's important at the end of the day is how you actually make it work. I think one of the biggest mistakes I've made was that I committed to building Volatify. Maybe it's just a pre-Volatify mistake, actually. I committed to building Volatify a little bit late because I had the idea a year before, but because I was involved in another project, I just started this late. But I don't think if this counts as a mistake within this startup. But if I were to talk about a mistake with since I started Volatify, I'd say not going after building proper financial forecasting in the sense that at what point your business starts generating revenue. We believe that, we have to show some customer base growth first before we should have, thought about how to generate revenue from Volatify. And, it was a mistake that we recovered from really quickly right after we joined our first incubator program. But it was now that I'm sitting here and looking back, I can see how that could have been any typical tech founder mistake, because when you're a tech founder, you don't know much about finances, and it takes you a little bit of time to learn and to develop that vision and that perspective. And we are really thankful that with the help of the incubator advisors that we managed to actually sort that out really quickly and have it in order and in check.
Well, what does the future look like for the product and for your team?
You're just beginning. We are at a very good point where we have a good number of customer base. We have our customers are very satisfied with what they're receiving in terms of the features or functionalities and the value within the application. And from here, moving onwards for us, there is a lot of feature developments around the feedback we're receiving from our users, as well as the potential functionalities we discovered throughout the way by, talking to experts in the industry and whatnot. So for us, there is a lot more coming. We just finished building our MVP in its full version. And from now on, we are going to be adding a few major milestones around our product and around adding more convenience and more accessibility for our users.
Okay, let's switch to you, Roya. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
Steve Jobs was one of the people who inspired me the most when I was a teenager. Looking at somebody with such level and scale of success and commitment made me believe that everybody could, achieve what they want and what they desire if they put enough work and dedication and passion into it. In terms of people who know me, there are actually a few advisors that I have been working with, and I'm really thankful to have known them. And I can name a couple, Aman Nabi. He's a venture capitalist who comes from being a founder himself. He has developed an amazing understanding around what we're doing. And, he comes from a fintech background. He has insight and understanding around fintech products. He also understands the VC world really well. And we are really grateful I am personally very grateful to have been mentored by him.
Okay, we talked about a mistake earlier, but a little bit different spin. If you could go back to the beginning, what would you do different? Or where would you consider taking a different approach?
You remember when I was telling you that we right after talking to VCs, we decided to build the product? I would actually go back to that point, and instead of building the product itself, I would start testing it out in a very manual way. And I think this is one of the biggest lessons we've learned. We've spent, the nature of coming from a tech background is that whatever people talk about, you're oh yeah, that's easy, I'm going to build it. But then, you find yourself in a big project because yeah, sure, you could build version 1 really quickly to speed up something, but then, that's not something that's presentable to a real customer out there. So what you need to do is to actually go into so many iterations and clean up what you've built and make it presentable. And that's the most time consuming part. This is with the risk that you don't know whether or not this is going to work out. Basically, the ROI is really low because, you're building something for a few months without, getting any customer feedback. Whatever that gets you to the point where you could receive the very first customer feedback would be the best way forward. And if I were to go back, I would definitely, instead of building a mobile application, the first version of our mobile application, I would choose to actually write a few hundred lines of codes to extract the same output. But instead of showing it to the end user through an app, I would just find group sample and I would run the code on their banking information and provide the information to them by email or even on a piece of paper, on an Excel sheet or whatnot, just to get some feedback and to understand whether or not it's valuable. This was one of the lessons that we've learned the hard way. We're, lucky that it worked out, but we could have be where we're at today, way earlier.
Roya, last question. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world. Can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit?
Don't build it. Go test it out with a group of people. If it's a B2C product, go test it out with a group of people. If it's a B2B product, go talk to the companies you are planning to target, and interview 100 people, 100 companies. Actually, the same applies to when you are a B2C business as well. Interview 100 people, talking and spending time talking to people and capturing the pain points of your target audience is the key. It is painful. It'll take time. It actually took us 2 months to finish our very first user interview, 2 months full-time work, but it's worth it. It'll give you the very clear understanding of where you're headed and whether or not also helps you understand the things that you think are important, but they're not. And, you have to put them aside. Don't care about them, even though you think they might make a difference. Just put them aside. So that would be my first advice. And the second advice that I have is that join an incubator program as soon as you can. The sooner you join, get into the ecosystem, the faster you build your network and you're in touch with people who have done this many times, who have worked for larger scale companies in areas that you don't have experience with. And they're there to share that experience and that knowledge and that understanding with you to help you speed things up. That's
great advice. Well, Roya, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for telling the creation story of Walletify.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Noah.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Business taxes. We're stressing about all the time and all the money you spent on your taxes.
This is my bill?
Now Business Taxes is a TurboTax small business expert who does your taxes for you and offers year-round advice at no additional cost, so you can keep more money in your business. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com/business. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service.